Hey, greetings from Texas. All right, today I'm going to do a little departure from my normal kind of videos and have a discussion about guns and particularly guns for survival, guns for SHTF, WORL, or just defense from home invasion. A friend recently asked me how much ammo do I have, and well, let me first off start off by kind of telling a little bit about me. I got into prepping in the 70s. That was after I read a book called No Blade of Grass. It was one of the first post-apocalyptic books made. I think on YouTube there's even a movie that was made in England, and that started off as a blight of grass, of which wheat and rice were a part of. Anyway, created a worldwide famine, and then there ended up being the SHTF. So it's about what happens to this family. Then I read a book by a guy named Mel Tappan called Survival Guns. I read that in the 70s, and I just started thinking kind of along those lines. And I grew up in the time of the Cold War, duck and cover and all that stuff, so there was always that looming issue of a nuclear war or invasion or whatever. So I don't consider myself a real prepper. I do prep. We do keep things for emergencies. I'm just more of a be prepared kind of person. I'm kind of in the middle. And that was really evident just a week ago, and our big freeze that we had in Texas the previous winter. And just last week, I couldn't even leave our house because we live in a rural area and a lot of the tree limbs broke, blocking our way out. And where I live, my property is a mile from the nearest public road. And so it's over a mile just for me to get to the road. And during the big freeze, I have a hill. I could leave my property, but because of the ice, I wouldn't have been able to get back. So during the big freeze, we were literally holed up for a week. And it was because of our preps and knowledge, knowing how to bake bread. We grow our own food. Not enough for full sustainability, but enough to augment the food stores that we have. So in those cases, we have used our preps, and you have to think realistically, not only about the zombies and the nuclear war threats and all that other kind of stuff, but the real world, Mother Nature rules. So anyway, it's good to be prepared. And I'm going to try to stay on focus here because there's just so many things that we could talk about. But anyway, I got the question about how much ammo do I have? Well, I have a lot of ammo. I have over 30,000 rounds. I won't tell you exactly what I have, because part of being a prepper too is to not telegraph that, and you don't want to show your cards. It's like open carry. I carry a firearm every day, but I don't open carry, because if you are familiar with any type of military tactics or defense tactics, then you don't want to show your cards. All right? Surprise is a tactical advantage. It sounds like Sabrina's heading over to the shop if you heard that music. So anyway, how much ammunition should you have? Realistically, if you probably, unless you were part of an organized group, you're not going to survive long enough to shoot 100 rounds. So in answer to that question is, how many rounds can you carry? because that's what you're pretty much going to be limited to. You know, if there was an EMP or something like that, your vehicle's not going to work. Your best friend's going to be a bicycle. What can you physically carry with you if you have to bug out, escape, or whatnot? So more and more as time goes on, we realize how energy dependent we are. And so that's going to be a whole kind of different topic if you want to get into that. Now, I had some military experience, a lot of experience as a tactical firearms instructor, and my experience on the SWAT team. So I have training in combat in built-up areas, urban combat, urban warfare, and you know, we were doing that in the 80s, and as the Gulf War and things came on, the military got on board with increasing their training. Their firearms training proficiency went way up, and they started training in combat in built-up areas, urban warfare, going house to house and things like that. That being said, you know, if you have a house, most of them have 4 sides. Unless you have 4 people, it's going to be almost impossible for you to defend. Anyway, so we're getting off on another tangent about tactics and things, but so let's get back to the gun issue. What guns do I recommend that you have? And I'm going to break it down to 5 guns. So let's start off with from the bottom, working our way up. One would be a 22. A good recommendation I would make would be something like a Ruger 1022. You could buy 10, 30, or 25, 50, and 100 round magazines for that. A 22, I have killed a lot of things with a 22. Matter of fact, I've killed a lot of things with a 17 caliber, hogs weighing up to 300 pounds. So it's effective with good shot placement for taking game, small game. It's not loud. If noise is an issue in your particular survival situation, that could be a benefit. And now with subsonic ammo, you don't even need a suppressor. So, you know, a 22 is a great way to go. It may lack in penetration and things for certain self-defense situations, but you can carry a lot more ammo because if you don't have a vehicle to transport you, then again, it's back to what can you carry. The next gun I would have is a 12 or 20 gauge shotgun. A shotgun at 30 feet for home defense is devastating. You are going to create a wound unless you have medical treatment. If it's a limb, it's going to require amputation. It's going to be a nasty way for someone to pass on with. You could use it for shooting birds, rabbits, you know, where accuracy and moving targets are considerations. And you could buy all types of ammunition. Rifled slug, that's a 50 caliber slug. That'll go completely through a car. It's devastating on medium-sized game or human-sized animals. And you can also get buckshot, double-aught buckshots, roughly 33 caliber. You got 9 to 12 to 13 pellets, depending on the round that you have. So it is one of the most versatile weapons, and if I could only have one, I would have a 12 gauge shotgun. The next I would have would at least be a good quality hunting rifle, something minimally at least a 30-30, 30-06, or 308. The calibers that I'm talking about here are fairly common. You can even get a 223, good 223. Ruger makes a good 223 bolt action rifle, 5.56 millimeter. So that could be interchangeable with the last weapon I'm going to talk about is some type of self-defense weapon. Anyway, calibers that are really most common would be .308, that is a NATO cartridge that's usually available in large quantities. 5.56 and .223 are compatible. You can shoot your .223 ammo in your self-defense weapon if you have a 5.56 caliber weapon, and so you can go cross-platform with that. Anyway, a good hunting rifle is good. It can be used in a pinch for self-defense. You know, a good sniper can pin down a whole company with a bolt-action rifle, and that's been proven historically. So it in itself is a very, very effective weapon. The next thing I would have would be a handgun, either in a 9mm or 45 ACP. I would pick a caliber that you can shoot accurately and has a high magazine capacity. It's very difficult to learn how to shoot a handgun proficiently. You know, that's something that requires practice, but that's on you. 90% of your practice can be done dry firing. You don't need to go to a range. Ammo's expensive, so you want to get all the mechanics and the operation of your weapons down before you get to the range. So at that point, you're just worried about working on sight picture and trigger control. Anyway, 9mm is also a NATO cartridge. It's readily available, it's common, it's fairly cheap. 45 ACP, you know, I'm kind of old school. I do have I have 10 45s and 10 9mm. So I have the option of either one of those as a personal defense or a home defense weapon. Lastly, I would have some type of modern combat rifle, something semi-automatic, something that a lot of people don't think you should own. Our own military is moving to their next generation of combat rifle, moving away from the M4 platform, which was an offshoot of the AR M16 and AR-15, where it had its roots. Again, you want something in common calibers, 5.56 or 7.62. AK platform's an awesome rifle. It's rugged, and you know, you can really abuse those things. 308 is more expensive, so again, you have to consider what you can train with and what works kind of within your budget. You would want to make sure if you have magazine-fed weapons, I would recommend at least 10 magazines per weapon, and some type of way to carry your magazines. Same thing with the pistol. Pistol, you should have a minimum of 3 magazines. I like to have 5, and you know, you may lose something in the heat of battle, so you want to have a spare. Again, but you're going to be limited to what you can carry and what type of system that you employ to carry your ammunition. And with each gun, you're going to want to have maintenance equipment, you know, tools, cleaning implements, oils, and things to maintain your weapon. So yeah, those are the basic 5, I think I covered 5 types of firearms that I would have. Again, you know, training is up to you. If you've ever been in a fight, especially a life or death fight, you're going to realize there are a lot of limitations when the adrenaline gets going. It's training and through stress inoculation that you become able to function in some type of life or death combat situation. If you just, you know, there's the whole fight or flight issue. If you just watch some of these scare pranks on YouTube, or watch somebody trying to run away from an animal, attacking animal, about 50% of those people trip. Okay, so you lose finger dexterity, you lose fine motor skills. You're operating just on sheer survival instincts, and without proper training, when bad things happen, it's just not going to go good for you. And things always go wrong. No matter how prepared we were on the SWAT team, we would do rehearsals, we would get floor plans. There was always something in the mix. There was like a dog that wasn't supposed to be there, children, obstacles, all those things. And you also have to deal and be realistic about equipment failures. Any gun will malfunction. You will have to learn how to clear and remedy those malfunctions. I don't care who you are, what kind of gun you have. They are mechanical and they are susceptible to break down. So you also want to make yourself familiar with how you maintain your weapons. Anyway, training, it's fine going to a gun range, but unfortunately, a lot of times they won't let you draw from a holster. You're shooting from a static position at known distances, and that's just not how things operate in the real world. Okay, your targets are going to stand still, and if you stand still, you're not going to survive very long on whatever battleground you find yourself on. Another good book to read, I know this off subject, is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And military tactics are basic principles as long as you adhere to, because those type of situations are always fluid and changing. It's good just to read about these kind of things, learn about basic tactics, basic combat principles, and don't get into having to follow things by the book. Okay, you have to improvise and adapt and overcome continuously. So, but your training is, the amount of training you get is up to you. I shoot a minimum of at least once a week. If I'm not training, I'm usually killing a critter at my ranch, because we got a lot of them. Anyway, that's a whole other subject. If that's something, tactics, urban or rural tactics, which I have training in and I was an instructor in, I could do videos on those kind of things. All right, well, I didn't write this out, so I hope I kind of touched up on everything that I wanted to, and that was just the basic type of guns that I have in my arsenal. And hopefully that gives you a little bit of information or helps you decide. We all want to hoard things, especially if you're someone who's prepared. That's what we do. I mean, we keep food. I have a year worth of food, shelf-stable food, freeze-dried food, and ways that we can grow food. And also there's things that we can forage here, even in Texas. So those are other skills that are up to you to develop. Anyway, that's all I can think of about survival guns. I hope you find this information useful. If you have any questions or comments, as usual, leave them down below. If you want to see some form of training, I do have a little bit. I'll put a link, reaction to contact video. But again, you have to practice this stuff. And let me digress. I did have a thing about optics. Okay, optics are great. On your hunting rifle, you can use that as an ad hoc sniping rifle, and having a good quality optic, about 4 power is fine. 4 power gives you a good wide field of view, and that's basically all you need. That's typically when I use a scope, I use the lowest magnification possible. That gives me the widest field of view, the most amount of light, and minimizing movement of the reticle. Lasers And weapons lights, I do recommend a weapons light. If I were you, what I have are AA. I have solar recharging systems for AA. My EOTech sights use AA. You know, you get those CR 2832 batteries. Where are you going to get those? You know, if the SHTF. So if you have some rechargeable AA batteries, they'll work in your red dots and on your weapon mounted lights, etc. So that would be my recommendation for a weapons light. Lasers are useless. They're great tactically if you have night vision goggles. Other than that, they're just something else that you have to maintain. There are issues. I have videos on that with lasers as far as sighting it in and those things, and they are mechanical, and if you drop them, they're going to break. I don't care how good a quality you are, or what good quality or what type of quality they are. They're susceptible to breakage, fogging up, atmospheric conditions and stuff like that. So on your hunting rifle, you know, have a good optic. Practice with your open sights. You know, they will always work. You know, red dots are nice, but again, have some type of backup sight system, and that's one thing that I have on those weapons. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Anyway, I appreciate you stopping by. Leave comments below or suggestions for content you'd like to see along these lines. And I appreciate you stopping by, and thanks for watching.